Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to be talking with Don Wales, who is the grandson of Malcolm Campbell. It's Sir Malcolm Campbell, isn't it?
It is Sir Malcolm Campbell, yes.
One of the things I want to talk to you about is obviously Bluebird K7, which is now resting in a very special display, I think it is, in Coniston, in the museum there. How do you feel about that?
Well, it was always our aim that my uncle's boat would end up in Coniston. That was always our desire. The plan was that we donated the wreck to the Ruskin Museum way back in 2006 with the understanding that she would be restored back to her former glory of January the 4th, 1967 by the diver that found the boat, Bill Smith, and then once restored it would be placed in the museum at Coniston, the Ruskin Museum, as her final home. We've sort of moved the goalposts a little bit. It wasn't going to run initially, but Bill Smith had a strong desire that it should run if he was going to put all the work into repairing it and restoring it. So that's what happened. He did run it on Loch Fad in 2018. I never saw it in Loch Fad, and I never saw the boat actually in real life as a kid. So getting it into the museum was the goal, and I'm so pleased that we have now got her there, and she looks magnificent. The team have done a wonderful restoration job. It looks great, and it's there now for everybody to go and have a look at and just marvel at the way she looks. She was designed in 1952 by the Norris brothers, who just did such a fabulous job of K7 and also CN7. So people can go there now and see this boat that my uncle sat in and did 300 miles an hour in. Incredible.
When you look at it, it looks like a spaceship. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It looks like something that should be in the air. It was so far ahead of its time, design-wise. I mean, you could say it's beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful, isn't it?
It is a work of art. Not only is it purposeful, it broke 7 water speed records in various configurations. Obviously, it sort of grew and was modified when the speeds increased. And its final configuration, she is magnificent. A real testament to, as I say, to the Norris brothers and to Donald. But she is magnificent. They gave Donald the tools to break both land and water speed records in the same year, in 1964.
There's one little thing on there, the logo on the side. There's the mark of infinity on there, and I was looking at it just now and I was thinking, to infinity and beyond.
Well, that's it. Yes, well, that's the Lloyd's registration for the class of world record. And so it's, unlimited class to infinity. And then K for the British owner, and then 7 just being that in the next line of boats going for the world record, being British. My grandfather had K3 and K4, and then Donald has K7. So, and John Cobb and Henry Seagrave had other K boats as well.
Yeah. But I just can't believe that, I mean, this thing was raised, it was rebuilt, and the time and the effort that people must have put in. I believe there is now an engine for it as well.
Well, yes, the original engine corroded so much in the water. That's on display as well. Bill Smith was lent an engine, and he did use that engine for various tests and also on Loch Fad. But the owner of the engine has decided that he doesn't want that to go to the museum for his own reasons. So the museum have now got 2 engines, I think maybe even 3 engines, and one of those engines will go in there, and hopefully in 2026 she will run on Coniston.
Now that's the aim, isn't it? To get her back on Coniston. Obviously, well, probably not doing 300 miles an hour.
No, nowhere near that. It'll just be a demonstration run. It's got to get up on the plane, so that's a challenge in itself. But anything sort of under 100 miles an hour, I believe, is quite a sensible thing to do, because you've got to get it up, and it's got a plane on the water. So otherwise, she's a bit of a beached whale.
Yeah.
So you've got to get her up at a sensible speed under very controlled conditions. It is an iconic machine. It's now part of our museum heritage, so it has to be well looked after. So there's a heck of a responsibility to maintain and run her. So yes, it should be a fantastic sight in 2026. All being well, yes.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fair trailing wind. When you see that it's a boat, I mean, hydroplane, boat, I don't know, whatever you call it. Whatever
it's
name
a boat, it's a hydroplane, yes.
Right. When you see it, and you see it rise, just that little bit from the water, it looks magnificent, doesn't it? I mean...
Well, I never saw the boat as a child. Donald was breaking records, obviously, in Australia in '64. I wouldn't have been in his life much then, I don't think. And then on one occasion when we did go and visit him, my brother was we were walking through the gardens at his house in Surrey, and there was a shed or garage where Bluebird was kept, the boat. And he lifted me up to have a look in through the window of the garage doors. And he said, "Can you see it? Can you see it?" And I'm saying, "See what?" And he said, "Well, there's a boat in there." And I went, "No, there's just a big blue tarpaulin." And it was under a cover, so I never actually saw it in real life. But seeing it, obviously on all the film footage that we've got, you're absolutely right. When it sort of hits the go pedal, it just lifts up so elegantly, and off she goes.
Amazing,
like a dart. It's amazing.
You've got a couple of world records to your name as well, haven't you?
I have, yes. I actually earn my living as a photographer, and have been fortunate enough to have the time, never the money, to do some records myself. And it was the electric car record I broke the UK record on, and held that for 12 years or so. And it was always my aim to raise enough money to go for the world record, but just never got enough money together. But I also got invited to be the test driver for a steam car based in Leamington. What a fabulous project that was. I was with the team for about 2 years and got to know the car really, really well. It was owned by an amazing bloke called Charles Burnett, and he's got his name there, Charles Burnett III, who was just so kind, so generous, to allow me to test his car, and then got invited out to America to test it some more on Edwards Air Force Base for 10 weeks. And it was just so hot, unbelievably hot. We experienced a heat wave in the Mojave Desert. It was just incredibly hot. And this steam car that's boiling water and generating superheated steam with temperatures, naked flame temperatures of about 1,000 degrees centigrade, didn't like the heat, which is quite bizarre. So we spent, there's only 10 weeks testing this blooming car to get it to work. And the timekeepers were invited out for the last 2 weeks of our time there. And with 3 days to go, we managed to get Charles Burnett to drive and to achieve a new world record. Charles got out of the car, and there was still some unfinished business. An American team had done a one-way average of 145. Charles had just done a two-way average of 139. And Charles had looked on to say thank you for all of your hard work and testing the car for me. tomorrow either break my car or break my record.
That's a challenge.
So normally we broke the car every time we got any speed out of it. So we all expected the car to be damaged in some way after Charles's runs, not because of what Charles had done, I hasten to add. And luckily the car wasn't damaged. All the boilers were intact. And then the next day I did 148. So
wow.
we managed to quieten the Americans down a bit, which is always a good thing. And Charles got a record for 139, and I got one for 148. So
brilliant.
Everybody was happy. So yes, very fortunate.
Now there is also another record that I've got some information on here, and that is you hold the Guinness World Record for a ride-on lawnmower.
I thought you might be going to that one. Well, I did hold the record. Yes, I held it for about 4 months, 5 months, I think. You could say I have broken records at the grassroots of the sport, yes. And I cut my teeth on a lawnmower. But it was, again, another project that I got invited to be part of. It was a fundraising exercise for various children's charities and heart charities. Just about 88 miles an hour, I think, as an average over the mile. And we invited over Bobby Cleveland, whose record we were attempting to beat. And he came along with some checks from his sponsors for our charities, which was really generous. And he was pretty much the first person who came along and said, Don, congratulations, you are the world's fastest lawnmower driver for now.
For now, yeah.
We'd left the door open. Yeah, we'd left the door open for him just a bit. And he went over to Bonneville in September and did an average of 95, I think it was 94, I can't remember now. Over the measured mile as well.
On a lawnmower.
My top speed was 94 miles an hour. So
insane. Absolutely.
A fun time, yeah.
Absolutely insane. Now, you mentioned there the trust. And the trust is obviously what pays for all these things, that the K7 and all the other things that are held.
No, not at all. No, there's no money from the Campbell Family Trust. We have to earn the money from selling merchandise. So we have, no money as such. My grandfather, yes, was a very wealthy man when he passed away, and he did leave money for his children and his grandchildren, but I'm afraid it wasn't very cleverly invested. So the sort of myth that the Campbell family is incredibly wealthy is sorely placed, I'm afraid. And Donald spent most of it on his record attempts.
Yeah.
So our family trust, it's a private trust, and at the moment I'm raising money because I still have to fight and protect our trademarks from people who try to register the name Bluebird as a trademark for their own means. And there's one live at the moment that we need the money to fight, I'm afraid.
Oh, goodness. You can buy replicas of K7 and also the Sunbeams that were raced by the family as well. This is...
Yeah, well, you can. We on our website, we sell all sorts of... they're models, they're not toys. Hand-built models. We have photographs, original photographs as well, from the original photographers who were there. So they're either genuine black and white prints or digital prints from the original negatives, first scans. So yes, that money is at the moment helping us to protect our intellectual property.
And that is the Campbell Family Heritage Trust. And you can go on there and get stuff.
Bit of a mouthful.
Yes. But brilliant, what a great idea. And so essential, as you say, to protect that name, to protect that heritage, because that's what it's all about.
It is. The family have been breaking records now for 100 years or more. Grandfather first coined the name Bluebird for his race cars in 1912. And in 2012, we put on a little demonstration at the Haymarket Theatre in London. We closed off one lane of the Haymarket Road and displayed some Bluebird vehicles. We fired up my grandfather's K3 boat, which brought central London to a standstill, because that was quite loud.
I bet it did.
And so, yes, we need to protect the heritage, especially now that we have museum pieces which are owned by other people, but they're in the museum ownership for future generations, and we just need to protect our logos and the name so that other people don't use it incorrectly.
Just to sort of finish off, Donald Campbell actually is the only person, as far as I know, to have held the water speed record and the land speed record. Is that right?
Well, he's the only person to have broken both records in the same year, in 1964, so 60 years ago. He's the only one to have broken them both in the same year.
Wow.
But Henry Seagrave, I think, held both records at the same time, but he didn't break them in the same year.
Ah, right.
So
Okay.
Donald is absolutely unique. I don't think anyone will ever do that again. So, yes, that was his finest achievement.
Well, I think anybody who grew up when I grew up knows the name Bluebird, whether it's the car, the boat. We all knew that, and we were all in awe. And I guess people still are in awe of Bluebird.
Yes, it is quite amazing that Donald's name lives on 60, 70 years later. He achieved so much in his relatively short life. The name Bluebird and the iconic machines that we have down at one at Bewley, the car, and now the boat up at the Ruskin Museum, and my grandfather's car, the Sunbeam, as well, that next year we will be driving on Pendine for the centenary of the 150 mile an hour record. I drove it in 2015, so that was a treat. And now, 10 years later, I'll be driving it again. The name Campbell and Bluebird lives on, absolutely, and I've been fighting to protect it for the last 30 or 40 years, and I'm determined that we can inspire and educate next generations into engineering, into maybe record breaking or motorsport, or just general lifestyle for kids to see what we achieved in the 50s and 60s and what Donald Campbell actually did. An incredibly brave man.
Yes.
He knew that he was putting his life on the line time and time again, but still continued because he was determined to break those records.
Absolutely amazing. Don, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I would
My pleasure.
encourage people to go onto that website and just read some of the history and maybe buy something as well, because that would be good.
Absolutely, yes. If the shop is at Campbell Heritage, I think it is. I can't remember now. I'll have to look it up. .co.uk, campbellheritage.co.uk. And it all helps for the preservation of the name for the future.
Okay. Don, once again, thank you so much for your time and all the best for the future.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you.